Welcome back to the program. This is Big Talk Boxing Day edition. Tonight on the program, we're looking at PDP's crisis, and it continues to linger. And the electoral umpire, INEC, is saying, for now, let's settle your differences before we could actually pick a candidate. And we have with us a former local government chairman of Via Southwest in Edo State, Mr. Destiny Ednabulele, who is also he's done a lot of work as a human rights activist and also a civic activist who's joined us tonight on the program. Thank you so much, Mr. Destiny, for staying with us.
Thank you for having me.
Just before we went on that break, I asked a question as to the fact that calling, because it seems like in the PDP, we don't really have somebody who both parties at this point listen to. Right? So INEC trying to say, okay, talk this thing out, settle your differences, because we saw what are the challenges prior to the elections, right, where we had Omar Damogun as the chairman of the PDP. I covered the PDP, so as to all of the NEC meetings and all of that, I was there. Sam Ayawo, they had concession and they came out, gave press statement and all of that. They were together, but the points came where Ayawo said, no, I am not in support of this, and some members of the National Working Committee at the time said, no, we are not in support of this. We need more time for consultation. But they said, we've taken a stand, and they went ahead. And it seems that is what brought the reef and whatever. Do you think that at this point, there's still room for conversations as to talking this issue out?
Mr. Soro, I said it earlier that it was an error for the INEC chairman to call both parties, and I stand by it till tomorrow. You see, there's already a precedent. There's a Supreme Court judgment on this matter. In the last election, presidential election, I was a party who passed through that route from the lower court to the Supreme Court in terms of, because I was the candidate of PDP for the Edo State House of Assembly. And at the end of the day, we won. And what the lead judges said, and it was very clear, it was audible to the deaf and visible to the blind, that this is a matter, it is an internal affair of the workings of the PDP, of the political party, that bringing to the court, it is an academic exercise. So there is already a precedent. For the INEC chairman, it is what I would be becoming meddlesome with utmost humility. He's a busybody with utmost humility. So for me, there are judgments, Supreme Court judgments on this matter, like matters. See, I don't know if you can recall, not too long ago, a few weeks ago or a week ago, my other brother, Oyo State Governor, Makinde, told the world, told whoever cared to listen, that the face off between himself and my other brother from who's now the Yendeba of Abuja, told the president that he would destroy PDP for his 2027 ambition. And that is exactly what he's playing out. And you see what INEC that was handpicked by president, and you're not saying that you want to have a fair judgment. My brother,
it wasn't a judgment. It wasn't a judgment. It was an interaction.
Whether interaction to settle the dispute. What do you call that? Right. So for me, with utmost humility, we must learn to call a spade a spade. I don't see anything meaningful coming out from this INEC. Nigeria must begin to must be alive. They must speak truth to power. From this INEC, I don't see anything good coming out of it. I'm very frank with you.
What are the indices? Why are you passing that judgment? Professor George Amopitang just came on stage, and he's done just one election, and that was the unnominated election.
The indices is very clear. I've started it before. His predecessor, Professor Yakubu.
Mahmoud Yakubu,
Yakubu was just nominated for ambassadorial. For me, that's enough for me. I don't need to say I don't need to go to any pastor or imam. At any rate, not these pastors that are in bed with in between the legs. They have with utmost humility. I don't want to dabble into, but it's there. Even the Bible said it. When our Lord Jesus Christ went to the Father's house, he met them at the temple. Buying and selling. He drove them out. So why would you turn my Father's house to a den of thieves? So we must learn to speak truth to power. And one of our biggest problems in this country is these so-called men of God, whether in the Islam or in our churches. They have missed it. There are no moral compass anymore in this country. Ordinarily, the spiritual fathers, or permit me, the so pastors, with so-called pastors, ought to have been the one confronting our political leaders, trying to whip them to line. But then themselves are guilty of what our political leaders or ruiners are doing. And you have a student of history. The Matthew Takisino of Jama, when he was a Catholic, you saw what happened, that he broke away and led to this thing. Because he challenged, there was for certain years that was not going right. He challenged it. At any rate, our frontline spiritual leaders, just name them, they confront the authority, the government, by trying to whip them to line to do the right thing. For the last, since 1999, with utmost humility, majority of them are in bed, eating jollof rice in Aso Rock, or perhaps in various government houses of the various states of the Federation. They have abandoned their so-called, well, some have said that they call themselves, no, it's not God that called them, but I don't know. We are still doing research on that. So for us, we have missed this in this country, and Nigerians must learn to speak out. We must identify the need for the very now, right, and address it now, because it's station time. 6-9.
All right, so let's talk about some of the consequences that may likely arise from this, right? The PDP may not be able to file candidates in forthcoming elections. We saw this happen in Zamfara State with the APC at the time. We also saw this happen. Something similar happened in Rivers State with APC also, where the APC were not able to have a candidate, and and remember all of that precedent has been set as to when there are conflicting party leadership, challenging leadership, and that's on one end. A problem that may arise going forward for the PDP, your party, if they're not able to present candidates. But there's also another problem, and that problem is a problem that almost many political parties, like the Labour Party, also has issues of leadership, right? The SDP has issues of leadership. And different other political, even the ADC have people challenging their leadership. So when we don't have political parties that are stable, we keep having challenge of leadership, people trying to hijack political parties. How do we grow our democracy?
Mr. Soro,
how do we grow our democracy?
Mr. Soro,
go ahead.
You think this is coincidence? I think you
don't think so?
You think this is coincidence? My brother, you see, I'm a student of history. I keep on saying, I don't know why. You see, if you study with utmost humility, the man at the center in Aso Rock now, study what is style of, political evolution, Lagos State from 1999 to date. It's the same style that is playing out at the center, that eventually played out in Lagos State. You see, for me, see the problem. I don't need to look at you, Osoro. You are not the problem. The problem is President Ahmed Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The president of this country. The problem political parties that is bedeviling the various opposition parties, like the PDP. I told you just now. You heard if a whole governor that has sworn to an oath to protect and defend can come out in the public and say that his friend, SY friend, the former governor of Rivers, now the Yendeba of FCT, at the meeting, told the Mr. President that he would destroy PDP for his 2027 presidential ambition. See, my brother, there are times, I know I told you earlier, some of your sister station, they called me because of this, and I deliberately, I did not want to talk about this matter. Because we all know our problem. We are shying away from the truth. It is our greatest undoing. I'm going to be very frank with you. So for me, I grew up from a very big family. When people say big, when my father died, I lived with my grandmother for about 9 years. From there, I went to the university. So I know what when you have in a scenario like this, I can tell you where the problem is coming from. The problem is from the president. I'm saying it on the national TV.
Right. So, but the president have said, opposition, I'm not supposed to put your house in order for you. That is your responsibility, and that is what you are supposed to do. This president was in opposition for a long time, but there was never a time when he came to blame people for trying to take over his party structure, because he was very much in control of his party structure. Is there something opposition leaders are not doing right at this time in Nigeria's history?
You see, let me say this. You know, President Ahmed Bola, I know I've said it at this platform. He's a very smart man. I keep on saying it every day. Because I followed him at the point, tried to study him and all of that. But he's not intelligent. I'm sorry to say.
You see, Nigeria's president is not intelligent?
With utmost humility.
That's the president of Nigeria.
I can say it anywhere, anytime, any day. He's not intelligent. You see, if truly, we must be very frank. Well, if you look back, this government was just barely 6 months or 8 months in office when they started campaigning. Since then, they've abandoned governance. And since then, no opposition party has ever seen sleep. None. If you go back to history, go back and look at it. Just 6 months or 8 months. I'm going to be very frank with you. None of the opposition parties is likened to a bird that perch on a dry when a rope when you want to spread your cloth. That rope is not balanced, and the bird itself is not having balance. Neither the opposition or the members are having balance. Has been wobbling. That's where we find ourselves in this country. So for me, I don't need to go, as I have said, I don't need to consult any babalawo. My grandmother will always say, and she has said it, and let me reiterate, that a woman there's nothing meaningful in an atmosphere of rancor. Nothing meaningful. That's exactly what that the seed they've sown in the you mentioned it already. Across the political parties, the opposition parties, see, what they want to do, let me say this, is to make these various political parties vegetable by way of, not viable, not coordinated. So not telling all the various governors, okay, you decamp to say, okay, we are having the majority. So that the day of election, like what played out in a election, they will go and cook figures in unison or unity. They will say, okay, this is what we have. Edo State governor has already pledged 2.5 million votes in faraway Scotland. The last, please, you are a student of history by way of go and do your investigative journalism. From 1999, at every elections, what have been the vote strength, both the vote cast, invalid, and whatever, put them together. I doubt whether we've achieved 1.5. But they have promised Mr. President. That's what they want to do. They'll say yes. They'll cook figures. And when they cook figures, and there are no viable oppositions to say, okay, no, let's go to the street or to speak against it. As I have said, and I want to admonish and advise the various oppositions parties, they should form an alliance for one voice. If they should go their separate ways, by 11 a.m. on that election day, they are already drinking Glenfiddich 360 years in Aso Rock. They are already drinking Glenfiddich 360 years in Aso Rock. You can take that to the bank.
Yeah, you've made your points, right? But let's keep dissecting where we got it wrong, right, in our democracy, because this same rhetoric was once said about your PDP at the time. I remember a lot of analysts at the time talked about the PDP, how the PDP gave no room to opposition, how the PDP stumbled opposition, how the PDP was all out to rule. In fact, former governor of Jigawa said the PDP will be in power for 60 years. Just a minute, Nabulele. And there were conversations. Is it that as to Nigeria's political system, any political party that comes in to be the ruling party, allegations will now be made, or it will be seen, it seems that they now want to take control of every other opposition party, because even at the time, the president complained as to how the former president at the time, Olusegun Obasanjo, tried to make sure all of the states were PDP. And the PDP had even up to 26 states under its party at the time.
Mr. Soro, you see, now I've said it in this platform. you must give it to PDP with utmost humility. You see, at least PDP has a human face. This present, dispensation of APC with utmost humility, according to one of my friends, it says it's an association of witches and wizards. It's a conglomeration of, I wouldn't want to use, there's a certain word I want to use, but because it's a national TV, I'll just say this. See, the problem, this group of leaders or party that we have, they don't have human face. You have said it. Can any governor try what Tinubu did in Lagos State? Can any governor? Can any governor? None. What the heck? You see, no. We must be very sincere. PDP had a human face. You see, I have said. That's why I keep on admonishing. I keep on begging, not admonishing, with humility. Keep on begging the other statement of this country. There is a saying that if elders refuse to speak, that children will eat vulture, thinking they are eating chicken. I don't know if
so you are absorbing, but Nigeria's political culture. There's a lot to be learned from the PDP.
No, let us be sincere. I'm coming.
There's a lot to learn from the PDP.
No, let me say this. You see, when a child begins to learn how to speak, and you are not a father yet, so I'm a father. When a child begins to learn how to speak, it starts by insulting the parents. Daddy, you the crazy. Daddy, you the mad. Mommy. I said, I'm a father. I'm telling you. One day you will understand what I want. You see, we're just leaving the military. There's no way you will compare a foundation laying. Oh, my brother, let us be sincere.
But did they lay the right foundation? Those are questions that you are asking. They laid the right foundation.
Hold on. You see, it wasn't easy. At the formative stage, there is bound to be, you must abuse certain powers and privileges. I'm not saying that PDP was a saint or is a saint. You must abuse it. Let's not be very sincere. At our primary, you say the way you were in the primary at primary 2 or at SS or in your first year at the university and your fourth year. There is a very conspicuous difference between your year 1 and your year 2 or your year 3 or year 4. Let's not be very sincere. But here in Nigeria, we are not progressing. There is a retrogression. Not too long, I think I saw one of my friends say, he said, at the exit of our colonial master, the military, we were able to drive from Benin to Lagos State for 3.5 hours to 4 hours. But today, from Benin to Lagos, about 7 hours to 8 hours. Are we progressing as a people? We are not. That's the point I'm talking. So, for us, we're just leaving the military. There's bound to be, yes, to step on toes and all of that. And to a certain, up to 60% or 65%. Basanjo is another statement. He tried, and there was some mechanism. They brought in the EFCC you are seeing today, anti-corruption, the one that was headed by... Yes, there's another one, BPU, something that was headed by former Aerofire and the likes. BPU, and yes, and all of that. There was some internal mechanism. So it's up to about 60%. The right foundations was being laid by PDP. But what do we have today? Even our late President Muhammadu Buhari, with utmost humility, may so rest in peace. You can't even compare him with this present one. The man that, quote unquote, that we thought he was a Democrat. We thought that he was a Democrat.
So what is making him not to be a Democrat?
The rule of law. Since his inception.
Is it not?
You saw what happened at the door election. You see, I'm not doing it to one. Injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. You see, don't say because it's not your turn today. Tomorrow it might be your turn. See, let me say this. When about 3 or 4 years ago, a friend of ours was kidnapped somewhere. And one of our friends was saying, but do you know about a month or 2 months ago, he was kidnapped. What do you call that? Don't say because, hey, you should have taken the other. No! No! You see, the problem we're having, are you aware that during the SY president, late Buhari, there was a rule of law, we talk about to a certain,
There was
certain
rule
level.
of law?
Yes. I can say it for a fact.
But a lot of people will disagree with you, even members of your party, but go ahead.
You see, I was a player, both as a civil society and as accidental politician. I know exactly what I'm talking about. Unlike now, if you're an opposition or a party and you have court in case, it's as good as you not having a fair judgment. You saw what happened in the 2 elections. When Obaseki was humiliated by his party APC, that he moved to PDP, Buhari did not. He said, let the law take its course. He did not influence anything. But you saw what happened with this present president. Even when Barrister Solime won the election overwhelmingly, visible to the dead and audible to the visible to the blind and audible to the deaf. Overnight, within 45 minutes, INEC had 2 separate result sheets. They turned the result upside down. And today, they have given us class captain in Edo. My brother.
Those are matters that have been settled.
No! If we want to move forward, we must look at yesterday. We must look at yesterday. You see, a child that refused to know what happened to the father. If care is not taken, he might suffer the same fate of the father. If care is not taken.
Those are, and like you mentioned, actually Gallo, right, as to Edo State election and all that. But of recent, we've had the Anambra State election where, the party that won, it was not the APC, right? It was not the president's party that won in Anambra. In fact, the APC...
Hold on.
So you can... They can also point that to you that this is not our party, but the government won in that particular party.
Hold on, Osoro. You know, I said it at the opening of the program that because we have deficiency, or rather we are bankrupt in terms of viable institution. That is why you see the governors will go before the president and Dombale. Charles Olodo, professor, with utmost humility, went to Aso Rock to Dombale. He sent emissaries to appease the gods. When I say appease the gods, we went to Aso Rock to appease the gods. See, my brother, we must call a spade a spade. You see, this man
was voted in by his people. The results are there. We had correspondence on the field.
God bless you.
That you had get the results.
So, if truly the people have the power belongs to the people, why should a city governor that is wanting a second term will go to Aso Rock to Dombale? Baba, I'm going for the second term. Now, please, let me. Don't worry, I will reciprocate. But he should be reminded.
I don't understand what that means.
He should be reminded, according to India and Uganda, they will retaliate. They will not reciprocate, they will retaliate. The forthcoming election is Nigerians versus the ruining elites. Ruining, underline.
And these elites are only members of the APC. But let's talk about this. Is it really fair? Because what we've seen, like you've said, Nigerian politicians should go into a coalition. But what we've seen is that people who have fallen out of power with the APC are now those advocating for opposition movement. Is it not opposition movement now being led by politicians who are falling out of power or favor with power are the ones? Is there anything new you think that this crop of opposition leaders will be offering to Nigerians going forward?
Sorry, if you go back to history, for the people to succeed, they need those that are no longer in favor of the ruling class, of the same ruling class, those that are not in favor of the ruling class. I don't know if you get that my explanation. To succeed, for the masses to succeed, they need some of those ruling class. I want to use ruling grass, but ruling class to succeed. That's the way it's done. You see, To take power is not bread and butter. It's not breakfast. To some of my friends said it's likened to beans and fufu. You know how heavy it is. So we need more energy. We need some of them that are disgruntled among the ruling class for the masses to succeed. Go back to history. That is the way it's done all over.
Right, so as we end the section now, we're running out of time. I'd like to ask, are you seeing a future for the PDP? Are you seeing the PDP being able to settle its problems and move ahead and offer credible opposition to Nigerians?
You see, no, I once said it in this platform and other sister stations, that as a single party, no future. In terms of 2027, right. Before Governor Makinde, opened the can of worms. I said it in this platform. It was even with you. The only way the PDP can get out of this conundrum is to form whether alliance, coalition, call it whatever, or you want to romance, call it whatever, with ADC, Labour, and SDP to form a very formidable opposition, viable opposition. To say they should go their separate ways with the present, man we have and his co-travelers we have at the presidency, is going to be very difficult. It's going to be an Herculean task because they will use the INEC to frustrate.
Those are allegations.
They will use the judiciary to frustrate.
Allegations.
Those are allegations.
Like
even my other brother, what's his name, that wrote, well, this is a topic for another day. As a practicing lawyer, he said so many things about our legal system in this country.
Right.
I wouldn't want to dwell too much on that. You and I know, if you are sincere to yourself, anybody that wants this country to succeed, the first point of call is our judiciary and the INEC.
Thank you so much.
Thereafter, perhaps you not bring the Nigerian police.
Thank you so much.
Those three departments. I use the word department. I refuse to. It was a deliberate one. Those three departments of the president.
Thank you so much.
Those three departments of the president
coming on the program.
Must be looked into.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Destiny and Abulele. Always a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you very much.
Former local government chairman in OVR Southwest, member of the People's Democratic Party. Alright? Maybe at least for now. Thank you so much. We wish you all of the best.
Thank you very much.
We wish the PDP all of the best. And that's the size of our program for tonight. Remember that Nigeria is our country and we must continue to support, to love this country and to behave in ways that will bring prosperity to all of us. My name is Ubong Usora in Abuja. I'm saying bye for now.
Ubong Usora.